Welcome to episode 5 of Biceps and Biryani with me, Sai, Proseek CEO, and Sid.
So yeah, Sid, IFBB Pro, Beastified Gym.
Today we're going to go over some of the weekend shows that we had. Sid's has a lot of clients doing a local show this week, so we'll kind of go through what he's doing for them for peak week and some Q&A from Proseek's new feature. We can go ahead and get started with the biggest show of the weekend, which was the Romania Muscle Fest.
Yeah, man.
Which grants an automatic qualification to the Olympia.
Yeah,
So what did you think?
It's tough when looking at these pictures. Sometimes I have other opinions of how it should be judged and how it should be placed. But again, I was not there. It is a different story when you're there live, and you know that, Sai. So from these pictures itself, sometimes you're just nitpicking. I mean, it's crazy. From the back, yes, I agree. Andrea was there, but from the front, man, I think he got beat by a bunch of people from the front. I feel like.
Okay, so of this
Guy,
top 6, how would you rank
that's
1 through 6 on the front only?
man. I mean, it depends on what you're looking for, but personally, me, third place should. I like the third place look to be number 1. He's just full. I got to get closer to his obliques, so I don't know what his obliques look like, but I'm sure it's from what it's looking like. It looks very much in. The 6th place is obliques just nasty, but his chest is not full.
Yeah, he looks a little.
Emil's front shot's good. I think.
So you're doing 1, 2.
Yep.
Okay, so
5th would be 3rd for me.
his front shot's really good.
Yeah, I think
It's a crazy taper.
I think that's up there, top 3, and then I would have the rest of the guys.
So did you have Andre beating Mauro or Mauro beating Andre?
Ooh, it's a tough one. Now I have Andre beating Mauro. I didn't like Mauro's look on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, from the back, I got Andre hands down. The flow of this is good. I mean, I don't think he's set on that shot in the back. Like if you go back to that, you can kind of see he's getting into the shot because obviously you see where the elbows kind of almost looking like he's rowing back. So I think he comes forward a little bit when it was set. He looks good. Like you know how look at Emil's pose. Like you see the gap between like the top of the lat and the arm. I think that's like. That just cuts off the flow. Like you see, like you'd want it to just kind of flow that taper, but when there's a gap, it just visually just throws it off. But look at the dude in the third place. Look at that. Like that
He's
back is just
a crazy physique. Yeah.
It's very deep, but he might be a little too big for men's physiques kind of deal, you know? Just extremely bubbly, almost super bubbly, kind of like a Corey Morris upper body, like a chest.
Yeah. But like if you're too big, like how are you even in the top 3 then? Like, you know, it's either you're like too big for men's physique or you're not, right? It's like, I don't know. Like it's, if they think he's in the top 3, and Andre Du's a big guy too.
Yeah, he's a big guy. He's a big guy,
Yeah.
but he's more like, I don't know. Sometimes it's just that big bubbly look.
He has a very bubbly look,
which throws it off from for a men's physique because it's got to be a flow.
Yeah, I think from the front, I actually really like that third place guy's front too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just he has such a nice full chest, shoulders, tight waist. Yeah, I like this guy's front too, the 5th place guy.
Yeah.
And then Emil and Andre, I do like both their fronts too. The only critique I have on Andre Du is his midsection. I think the rest of his physique flows really well. His midsection is just very flat, like it's very shallow. And I think it kind of throws off the look a little bit.
But isn't that like a big part of men's physique? There's only 2 poses, so like
it seems to be
core and the flow and the oblique attaching to it. All of that should be part of men's physique, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Yeah, and there's only two poses, and there's like the margin between all these guys is so small that you'd think something like that would impact your placing, but
that's where it's tough if you're not up front live, just to, because this is just such a small margin between these guys, or
yeah.
between most top men's physique guys. It's just small margins. And then also,
And then I'm still just don't know how to describe like what is happening with Morrow's placings because it's just like how do you go from 13th to the Olympia to then the last call out in a normal pro show to then fourth place here. But I think his best look, in my opinion, based on the pictures, was that one he placed the worst at, like the last call out
yeah,
of that pro show. So it's like I don't know. It's very tough to tell what the judges will do.
yeah. I mean, I don't think this is the best package that he's brought.
I don't think so
By
either.
far, I think this is the worst one he has bought that I've seen. So,
But he did way better than last show.
look at
Yeah,
the back. That's terrible.
yeah,
I think.
yeah, yeah. Compared to these other guys,
Yeah.
his
Well,
back
yeah.
shot is way crooked. But yeah, these top
Maybe he's
three
not
have great
set yet.
backs.
Yeah, I don't think these are set shots on some of them, so that's
Yeah,
why that's why you could be off, because we're just you would probably have to go to the NPC
the live
website,
feed.
go over individual shots to see like a set one, then put it side by side, and probably you'll
Yeah,
be able to get a more accurate description of what's happening.
yeah. But congrats to Andre Du. He's going back to Olympia.
Yeah,
Emil Walker's racking up the points.
I know.
So yeah, he'll probably be back too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we had quite a bit shows too this past weekend. 3
Yeah.
or 4, right?
Yeah, so the next one we have is going to be um here's the Sean Ray Classic. So I'm gonna go through this one really fast. Where Ryan Clark was the winner.
Yeah. Back, I mean, he's been in Olympia for how long, so.
Yeah, he won 2 pro shows last year. Jason was in second, Shun in third.
Both Olympians.
Both Olympians. And then my boy Davion. So this is his pro debut. He came in 7 pounds lighter than he did for the show he turned pro at. So really brought good conditioning. He has a great structure. But he ended up in fourth, which is great because he beat some pretty good guys in the show.
Yeah, wow. Congratulations, man. Congratulations on fourth place debut. That's pretty huge.
Yeah. And he's actually competing again this weekend. I think this one will be a pretty tough show, the Atlantic Coast.
Yeah.
We'll be looking out, but congrats.
Just a big lineup on Atlantic Coast.
Huge show. Yeah. So it'll be a good test for him there too. But yeah, definitely congrats on that fourth place finish in your pro debut.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of pictures of this show for us to go
compare. There's not. Yeah. It's tough. It's really tough to tell based on these things, but
yeah, this one in the Fit Pira show, there wasn't a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
But
and we had this one in New Zealand where Isai won. And yeah, I've always actually been a big fan of his physique. At first I thought he would be probably like almost too big for men's physique, but I think with the new standard he looks pretty good.
No, I agree. I think he was really tight, because there was a picture with like a close up of his core, and he looked very tight, and it was just pretty flow. Just flow. Look at his post too, like it's on. He's on. So it was a good one for him. And I don't think the competition was
it wasn't a particularly
steep one. Show. I'm not saying these guys aren't good, but I'm just saying it wasn't
not a ton of Olympians or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we have the big one. I think you got to go up. Yeah. So I think 2 bangers are in here. Obviously, Edvon and Bassa.
Yeah. Bassa looks great here too.
Yeah.
Just Edvon is, it's another level of
I know he's top 5, man, and he is top 5. He looks top 5.
He looks
I
top
am,
5 here.
yeah, he's just. I think he's got like the one of the best flows. So I'm a big fan of Edmon's body, and I just love it. I think it's the size, the proportions, everything's just beautiful on him.
He looks big here too.
Probably just standing next to these guys, he's probably big.
Yeah. Bassa, I really do like Bassa's flow too. I think he's competing this weekend too at the Atlantic.
Yeah, he is. I saw that. Ruben's gonna be there, my boy.
Yeah, Ruben will be there.
So I'm trying to see if I can take a
The Atlantic Coast Pro here. Here's the list for that.
There's a second page, you know that, right?
That's crazy, dude. Wait, this is the Masters. I think this is all the
Oh,
open.
gotcha.
Yeah. But so we have Chris Barr, Olympian, Bassa,
Ruben, Alex Rogers.
Oh yeah, Alex Rogers. Yeah, it's a big show.
Yeah, man. Let's see, this is 40 plus.
But yeah, I really think it goes to show like I think this new qualification requirement is getting people out there and competing a lot more.
Pretty dope. There's another show in Brazil as well. A muscle contest. That one has Edvin in it as well.
Oh, Edvin's going again? Yeah, I guess he's gonna get his qualification locked in with this one. So this is a much smaller show. Looks like in the Brazil shows, like pretty much everyone that competes is pretty much Brazilian.
Yeah, there's it's usually the case, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, like almost all of them except one is from Brazil on the Brazil show. Looking at the list.
I'm trying to see if that's the case for the USA shows too. I guess it kind of is.
No.
Mostly USA, but then you see a couple people from out of the US. But
yeah, it is.
But yeah, there's some crazy shows going on.
I'm excited, man. There's a lot of crazy shows, and I got a show coming up. Not obviously not me competing, but my clients are competing. It's one of the bigger shows here in Kansas, the Central USA Championship. So it's just been a crazy busy week. So usually I analyze these shows pretty like close, just because I want to know what I got to bring and stuff like that. Plus, kind of keep up with the news. But I didn't get a chance to do that this week. That's why we're going over. Usually we'll have pictures loaded and we'll have better research done for these. But I have just been. Have a lot of athletes in the show, so it's just tough. Especially, I'm a type of coach that micromanages a lot. Like, so it's insane. So usually I have my clients checking in about once or twice a week, like about 4 weeks out, and then during peak week it's every day. And then for some of the athletes who's trying to cut weight and make weight and trying to bring in certain look, it's after every meal on peak week. So it's just been a lot, and plus my India trip is coming up too, so I have just been super slammed this week, so my research is off, so sorry guys.
Okay, so let's talk about your peak week strategy though, because I think that'll be interesting since you're going through it with 8 guys right now. So as far as your strategy, so they're having multiple check-ins a day, so what exactly are you looking for between check-ins?
It depends on what we're trying to achieve out of the athlete. So let's say somebody's trying to make weight. We're constantly monitoring what certain type of food, what water's doing, what is it doing to the weight. If we bring it up to that weight, are we lacking on conditioning? How flat are you getting? How much more carbs do I need to put in to make sure that he's full? So it's peaking in athletes is interesting, right? So everybody responds different. So it's just trial and error to just make sure I can bring a full, but yet again, not compromise on conditioning on all these athletes. So it's different athlete to athlete, but on a peak week, yes, that's what we're trying to do. Men's physique at this point, I'm not considered about weight, but I just want to make sure that conditioning is good to go. And the thing is, sometimes, yeah, and the thing is, let's say one of my athletes, right? So I'm like, okay, cool. We'll start refeeding. We'll start peaking. And then he sends me a check-in after 2 days of heavy cardio, and he's just way deeper in condition, and there's another line breaking. So I'm like, wait a minute, there's more? I thought we were done. Like, I thought I got everything, but you're even looking tighter. So now I have to just call an audible and see, okay, let's see if I can get a little bit more without compromising that refeed, and make sure, like, you're not flat on stage. So it's just different, man. It's different with the athlete. There's not a certain protocol or a procedure. Of course, I mean, obviously the higher carb intake, all that's common, but it is case by case, literally case by case, hour by hour.
So is this, in terms of general strategy, do you try and fill people out earlier in the week and then taper back towards the end, or do you wait till the last couple of days and just shove it in before the show day?
I prefer doing it earlier in the week, just because I don't have to shove it in and have like a gut reaction or whatever the case may be, because they're not used to this high calorie diet. So I don't want to come, even though we have a lot of procedure for gut health with my type of my coaching. I just don't want to risk it where I'm shoving 3 times the amount of carbs and normally, and your abs are not, there's a reaction to gluten going in, or whatever the case may be. I just don't want to take that. So I prefer men's physique or guys that are not trying to make weight to slowly fill up. So yeah. So for example, Wednesday could be like, okay, let's try it out with, if you were eating 200 grams of rice, I'm just giving you an example. Let's try it out. What you look like with 270 grams of rice Wednesday, see how full you look on. And if that's the look that I'm trying to achieve, yes, I like that. And we got to maintain that. And if I want a little bit more fuller Thursday, I'll go a little bit more, and I start pulling water too. So got to be careful with that. So I prefer that, but I do have guys trying to make weight. So that's another tricky part, guys trying to make weight. Our check-in's Friday night at 6:00. So it sucks for him, because
they have to really like not eat at all that day then.
Yeah.
I need to fill out pretty heavy after that, I guess.
And then we're riding that line. We're right at the weight, but you got to understand, throughout the day, there's going to be, your cortisol level is going to spike, water, fluids, fluids, food. So I have to make sure he maintains that weight till 6 p.m. So minute he's done.
Do you restrict fluids that day then, the day of the weigh-in? Do you restrict fluids and food?
Yeah, I actually, I'm counting on it. I'm counting 2 pounds on just bleeding, basically.
Yeah.
Just pull in water. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I think that is, then after they're done weighing in, then you pretty much have no choice but to have a heavy carb up the night before the show, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, but I'm gonna try to stick to a lot more like sugary drinks to just help him. Help with just because it's broken down a little bit more, and hopefully he absorbs it better. And he has been, his body does absorb it better. So we'll see how that. We kind of played around with it a couple of weeks ago just to make sure that is how we're going to do it in Diuretics. Yeah, so we can implement it in place on the day of. So all of it's trial and error. And it also has to do with the chemistry you have with your athlete and the amount of preps you've gone through. It's very important you have that relationship with your client or your coach, because you got to know each other's body on what does what to your body.
Yeah, and that's also data that you can have from like the refeeds throughout prep too. Is like you figure out how do they respond to 500 grams of carbs in a day or something, So like, and then the peak week, I think I also agree with trying to do it a little earlier rather than waiting to the last day, because like that way, even if you do go a little overboard, you can still have time to clean it up, and you can like find that perfect balance too. So let's say like you said, like let's try 270 grams of rice, and then they spill over. It's like, okay, well, let's just pull back a little bit the next day or the next meal, and then they can tighten back up. Whereas switch last day, there's very little margin for error.
Yeah, worst thing I want to do is just guess and then just go without, just go. I'm not that guy that does I usually don't do this unless it's like a special case and does happen and I'm trying to make a risky move, like doing the cheeseburger and fries to fill up. I don't do that either. Or some of that kind of deal. I don't do that because your body's just not used to it. I just
too many variables.
Don't know how it's going to unless I'm trying to make a risky move, and I'm like, okay, like maybe this will work. Like it's like very rare that I pull that move, but I just don't do that. I usually just end up using what your stomach is used to and just use
Right.
more if I need more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Unless a client has been having like a burger and fries like every week for during prep, then I'm not probably not going to use it the night before a show because like you just don't know what's going to do the
absolutely,
digestion or
exactly. I mean, I've had, so I usually respond really well to a burger and fry. So like I've had coaches where every Saturday I used to eat a burger and fry. So when my fill up came, it was a burger and five, and I really filled up, and it was a
Mhm.
really good look, you know. But I think you just got to emulate what your body's used to the weeks prior
Yeah.
and just do more of it and just monitor. And this is something that I do. I drop it, so I kind of keep the calories the same during peak week, but I drop the protein amount a little bit
Right.
on the day before Thursday and just make up for that in carbs, you know.
In carb. Right. Yeah. I think that's a good approach. Then they're not going to put on any fat or anything either because it's like you're not eating in a surplus really. You're just having a higher carb intake. How low do you drop? Do you take it out completely or do you just lower it to like half what they eat or like a third or like that last, let's say the day before the show, like that Friday, what does their protein intake look like? Let's say they normally eat 150 grams of protein per meal.
It would be 75. I
Okay.
tried to, and I would
Just cut
replace
in
the
half.
75. Yeah, I usually about, and you got to understand how protein digests as well. It takes,
Takes, yeah.
yeah, it stays there. It takes longer. I don't want that. I want it all going. I want it all going. Plus, you're not doing anything. I don't really like my athletes doing anything on Friday, the day before the show.
Hmm.
So I don't. I just kind of want him to relax, so I just don't want that. And plus, I mean, psyche is important, you know, so you get protein in there, you feel bloated. Athletes can go off the rails and they're already depleted. They're already, you know,
Hmm.
worked hard, been on prep for weeks, and you just don't want to risk that. So mental health is very important, right? So you got to play according to a little bit to your advantage and just make sure they're comfortable because that's very important.
Yeah. And then what about fats?
Whew,
Do you taper
I
that
don't play
down
with
or?
I don't play with fats a lot. I try unless I see that the athlete's response rate is better with fats, then yes. But most of my athletes that I have really respond with carbs. I try to uh, try not to introduce extra independent variables into account, meaning um, less and simple the better for me. So like to keep it. I mean, I do use peanut butter or
Mhm.
almond butter mixed with like very simple sugars like honey or something like that for if I'm like, okay, wow, like going on stage in 2 hours, I don't know if I want to put a full chicken and rice meal in you.
Mhm.
um I usually end up using rice cake and honey and peanut butter to do that. I mean, what is your take on fats? Like, do you respond well to fat? Do you feel like the pump kind of lasts longer and it's in your system a little bit longer than carbs?
I think when I'm depleted like that, if I just have like carbs without any fats at all, my body just burns through it too fast. And it's hard to hold a look because it's like I eat my meal of let's say 300 grams of rice. I look amazing, and an hour later I look flat again. So I think even if it's not a lot, maybe like 12 grams of peanut butter or something, even that, just like adding that to my meals, I feel like just holds the look a little bit longer. And I think it helps with digestion too. Like if I've had meals before where it's just like eat 250 grams of rice, and I feel like it just kind of sits. Like I don't have my digestion's kind of gets messed up if you cut protein out and fats out. So I think keeping a little bit in there kind of maintains the regularity, especially if you've been doing that the whole prep. Yeah, so like I think that's a variable that I try not to change too much because like fats are never super high anyway. They're always like somewhat low. So I just keep it at that low level, just like to maintain digestion and
Yeah,
stuff.
so you're basically use it to just make sure that look you're going for lasts a little bit longer, right? So it's kind of the same concept, but I use it reverse to my advantage. If I can get an hour out of it, I know what what I can make you look like in an hour. So I tend to just stay with that. You know, if sometimes I really like to get to, hey, this carb lasts me 2 hours. That's why I don't respond well to like complex carbs. Like if I'm going with like sweet potatoes or anything like that, it does stay in my system a lot longer. I don't like it. I like to be predictable. I'll be like, okay, I just want to know what I look like for the next 2 hours. I don't want it to last. I'll just keep refeeding it if it's necessary. Not a big deal. But don't get me wrong. On Friday, it's not like they're completely fat free. So like, for example, it will be a little bit fattier ground beef that I would put like 93.7 sometimes.
Okay.
Instead of 96.4 that I normally use, or 90.10, worst case scenario. Like, especially in between shows from prejudging to finals, I like them to have like a 90.10 refeed. And then,
okay.
And then just take a nap. That's like my mandatory.
Yeah.
Get a good refeed and go take a nap so you wake up really dry and, you know, so obviously you make adjustments based off of prejudging on what the look like. If there's any needed, if not, yeah, it's tough. It's tough with everybody. You can do the same
really
thing
tough.
and dial it in for one athlete and try to emulate that, and it won't happen. You know, everybody's different.
I think the really tough part is like the show morning when you don't know when you're going to get on stage. Because then it's like, let's say you know that carb meal will last you an hour and a half. So you eat the carb meal because you think you're going to be on stage an hour and a half, and then an extra hour comes through and you're still not lined up or anything. Then what do? Do you pound another 200 grams of rice? Do you pound another, you know, it's like.
And especially if your coach is not there and you're checking in on phone and stuff like that, and the lighting's off and all of that stuff. Dude, that is just a cortisol spike for me. It happened to me at Nationals in 2022, my first Nationals, right? So I'm there by myself. Usually Corey's with me on some of the show, which is a huge help because she kind of understands what's going on. She helps me out. She kind of predicts what's about to happen, and it's already there for me, you know, so which is a huge help. Or my gym buddies or my all my or my clients or my teams there to kind of help me out. But this first national, man, I was all by myself and never been to a national show, and just competed for the first time like a month before that. So I'm sitting there. They're like, okay, 6 o'clock is your second coat of tan. I'm like, oh, bet, like there at 5:30, just waiting, you know, just one of those hard, and then just get my tan, and I'm like, wait a minute, the show doesn't even start for like another 3 hours. Okay, so what do? My hotel's not close by, so I'm just sitting there.
Yeah.
Doing nothing on the floor. And then I got all my food. But it was such a big show. The National was such a big show. I didn't go on till the evening, prejudging till the evening. I ran out of carbs, and it wasn't like, I did not feel like, oh, I can go out, get more carbs and come back. Because what if I miss it or something happened? You know, there's nobody there to. And it's not live streaming, so it's not like I could watch and just being like, it's going on. So you know what I did? I just went to the vendors and just started buying muffins and just kept eating till it goes. And that's really crazy. And it would have been awesome to be like, hey, you're going to go on at this time so you can time your peak perfectly. But that's the art of bodybuilding. That's why bodybuilding is awesome, man.
And I feel like that's what messes me up like 80% of the time is like just that day of the show is hard to nail for myself. Because I think that's what happened at USA's too. Is like I thought I was going to be on stage at like 11, and then you're eating, you know, accordingly to like be on stage at 11. Then 11 comes by, they're still in the middle of classic physique, and you're like, oh, I have another 2 hours maybe. So then you have to eat another meal, but then it's like then your stomach, you don't want to, like I start holding water a little bit, and then it's like I don't know, it's a tough.
Yeah, yeah. While we're on that topic, I want to ask you a question. I'll ask you the question and I'll answer it myself. Are you like so let's say shows out of state, right? So Vegas, Florida, wherever it is that you're competing. Are you a type of guy that gets an Airbnb because there's a kitchen and all of that stuff? Is that like your go-to?
Well, so that's a tough balance, right? Because you have to like, an Airbnb is more convenient because you have a kitchen, but it's very inconvenient because you're 20 minutes from the venue. So it's like, this in Vegas, so what we did was, so the hotel didn't even have a fridge. I mean, it had a fridge, it didn't have a microwave. So what we did was we bought a microwave from Walmart. I bought a rice cooker from Walmart. I had those in the hotel room. We snuck it in and like used that and then returned it after. Preferably, I'd be in the host hotel with the fridge and microwave and rice
Yeah,
cooker.
that's awesome. That's my experience too. So starting off going to these shows, it was for me it was Airbnb. I was like, yeah, there's kitchen. I want to cook fresh food, all of that stuff. And then I started being like, oh my God, I'm really cutting into the way I look by not having a spot to be peaceful. Cause
Right.
I'm laying on the floor. One, I'm not looking to interact with anybody right now. I'm just in the zone. I'm on the floor and I noticed this for one show. I was laying on the floor because I was trying to relax and the tan got all jacked up. And when they resprayed it, it didn't look as good on the back as far as when it was. So then I decided to go, okay, from now on, it's going to be the host hotel. And
it's
then
worth
I'll tell you, it's worth it. And then this is what I started doing. So if you're competing and if this helps you, please take this into consideration. So I started doing host hotel and I started freezing my foods, right? So there's a fridge. Not most of the hotels have microwave. You're right. So I started freezing my rice. I started freezing all my meals. I just started prepping for, let's say I'm there for 3 days. I prep meals for 5 days, right? And I'll bring that in, all of that stuff, and then go ahead and heat it up and eat it. I was just thinking, who cares? I've been prepping for 8 weeks already. Who cares about taste of this food or anything like that? Just got to get it down. If you notice for Universe, literally Men's Physique was starting and my category, like my class was about to come up for Masters. And that's when I walked down from my room, relaxed, literally put the coat, put my glaze on and I was already in line. And it was the most chill show ever because I was like, oh, wow, great. Even though the guys were like, where were you? I'm like, I know you don't need me for another 20 minutes. Yeah. So I was just kicking it and then came in, got my pump in and just went in and I executed. And that was the best. Like it was a smooth landing. I hate hovering around my landing zone. And it was a smooth landing for me.
And it's just like so nice, like especially now that we have live streams so much, like you can literally just lay in your hotel room and lay in bed until you see like Classic Physique is like getting the last class of Classic Physique is when I start heading down. And that way I have like, plenty of time to get ready or do whatever. But
so let's get back to the show. So that's something that I really manage for my athletes, and it's important with the fill up just as much, just to make sure that these guys are comfortable.
Yeah.
If you're not comfortable, that shit also throws off your look.
It really does. And that's what's like so frustrating is like you have every variable set all throughout your entire prep, and the day of the show, everything is all over the place. And then like it's hard to nail that.
And the more you compete, more you're going to know that's what's going to happen, and the more you're able to prepare for it. So I'm like, okay, if that happens, I have an answer for it. I have a solution. So I stay calm, my body stays calm, and it goes from there. For example, we had two rooms. So I was like, no, and we had an Airbnb as well. So I was like, Mom, my family's staying there away from it. Corey can stay with me because Corey understands what's happening. I'm not trying to have a conversation. This is not a romantic trip till I'm done with
the show's over.
The show. Whatever the case may be, she understands just like what needs to be done. It could be something simple. She would be like, okay, let me put the bed sheet on for you, so you don't get tan. And I'm not the one doing it, so I'm just hanging out, chilling. It's like, let me add the 300 grams of rice or whatever. Let me go downstairs and heat it up for you. Ooh, it makes a big difference. So just also having solutions important.
Yeah, 100%. So I think we talked about a lot of the diet parts. So let's go to the water manipulation, how you manipulate fluids for your clients. So is that something you're testing throughout the peak week? So what I typically do is like, we'll start with going from like a daily water limit. So let's say they're drinking 1.5 gallons to like, let's time it per meal so that we can kind of tell how much water like is more consistent throughout the day. So, like after meal 2, they've had 60 ounces of water and this is their look. Is that what you do too, or how do you manage it?
Dude, this is where you're going to be like, holy shit, you're a control freak. Yeah. So I start like 12 weeks prior to the show. I have them drinking water exactly how I want it. So yeah. Yeah. Per meal and between meal. So like, let's say, for example, some of the clients, after meal 1, so I have clients waking up, drink your coffee, do your gut health stuff, have this much water. Then as soon as you're done, have this much water. Before meal 1, No more water. After meal one, 30 minutes after meal one, you're going to drink this much water. Between meal one and meal two, you're going to consume this much water. It's easy. I mean, it sounds like it's a lot, but your body gets conditioned to do that and it just naturally just flows. So once that flows, then there's 7 days out. Then I start going, listen, I know you're used to drinking this much water. You're you're disciplined enough to understand this is how much water you need to be drinking. I usually go to like an amount, 7 liters of water Monday, 7 liters of water Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, depending on the guy's natural or if he's taking diuretics, whatever the case may be. The protocol changes between the athletes on how much they're drinking Thursday, Friday leading up to the show. So it's different every athlete.
So how do you determine if an athlete keeps water in or if you need to pull water?
It's clearly on the look, man. So if so obviously everything's coming together at this point, right? So you're carbing up, he's filling out. I mean, definitely looking at the core, looking at the detail in the muscle. So carbs need water to make sure that they're pushing into the muscle. So I think what you're looking for is the balance between just enough water for the carbs to stay in and just making sure that there's not a surplus of water to make sure that it spills into your outside of your muscle, so you just got to play it by the way you look. That's why I like to micromanage guys. And that's why there's 2-3 check-ins a couple of days before the show to just make sure, okay, yeah, wow, okay, the water's holding, or you're too watery, or you got to go get 10 to 15 minutes of cardio or whatever to get that out.
So how do you decide if a client needs a diuretic or not?
If I feel like they could get drier and it's not going to compromise their fullness, then that's when I decide that the diuretics. I like to like, especially for my athletes on subs, I like to push to see if it does get a better look. Even if you're a little bit on the flatter and a drier side, I like to push that because it's easy for me to fill them back up, because I got to hold 24 hours to just get that. Or 48 hours sometimes to get that. So I like to push that like a Wednesday night, Thursday night to just see if I can push the limit. I always like to line that, like push that boundary to make sure that I'm there so I don't go over. It is a scary process at first when you start with, when you're starting your career as a coach, just to kind of see, but you just finally, once you got that experience, everybody has their way of doing things. Everybody has a way that how they kind of know. They have that not just scientific instinct, I call it. So it's just experience when it comes to that. And knowing your athlete and what the best look they can bring. So, and that's when the refeed and all of that comes into play, because you're like, okay, you can look, you're full, but you can look drier, and there's a difference in the way that skin looks when you're dry. So,
do you test diuretics beforehand, or like do you like, if let's say you're going to use a diazide, do you ever test beforehand, or do you?
No, I just know a certain amount. I'm just playing off experience on, okay, this amount does this, this amount does this. So yeah, so I do start with a very, very tiny dose. But let's say if it's diazide, I go very low and then see what that does, and then more or less.
And do you usually do it on Friday only, or like Friday, Saturday, or do you start Thursday, or?
No, I start a tiny dose on Wednesday, like very tiny dose on Wednesday, and see how it reacts. And then Thursday night.
So that is kind of able to test then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It is. I mean, it's not just, I'm just not winging it like, okay, there's a protocol.
Friday
every
night,
athlete takes
every
athlete takes this much. No. It's just Thursday is obviously the main day, Thursday night, and then wake up Friday morning to see, okay, wow, okay. But some coaches are just locked in, like Ariel. Ariel's so locked into where he's like, okay, I see, okay, this is going to do exactly this to your body. He's just done it so many times to where he can just lock that in, So that's there, but it's just on my way of doing. I just don't want to take that. So I'm just always titrating up or down to see what's going on starting Wednesday, Thursday, just to make sure I bring the best look.
And then how do you, I guess, how do you manage if like an athlete Like, do you use it most of the time, or do you try and use like prep without it and then throw it in if you absolutely have to?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case, especially if you have to make weight too. I like to use it, deplete that water, and get a little flatter. But if I don't have to, I won't.
Is your typical go-to diazide, or do you also use something else like aldactone or a
Aldactone and
hydrochlorothiazide?
diazide.
Okay.
Aldactone and diazide. So aldactone's a little bit lighter. Way it pushes water out. Sodium, potassium is different than diazide. So I just aldactone obviously preferred, but diazide if I need to push it a little bit. So
Yeah. So I know. So with
what about you?
aldactone, yeah, usually, well, I really try and do without it. If I have to, then sometimes I'll just use a natural thing like dandelion root or something like that. And then if they need something more, then yeah, maybe a quarter diazide.
Yeah,
Just
dandelion
because
root
out,
expel is great too. So
yeah, sometimes that's enough. That'll do the trick, because like you can test out beforehand to take a couple dandelion root. They look peeled the next day. Then that's all you really need. But then yeah, for some people, if you need to, then you can go like maybe a quarter tab of diazide or something. Aldactone I think is so I used it for the first time this year. And yeah, so that's one. It's a little harder to find too, I think. So I don't like count on people being able to find it. But yeah, I thought it worked pretty well. I liked it. I'm always really hesitant. I don't think I've been able to find the exact balance for myself yet with or like with who I've been coached by, is just as far in terms of like how much to use and how to perfect that amount. So I'm still a little hesitant to use it with my clients too.
yeah, I mean it's crazy. It's tough as a coach too, because their look is, you do have the pressure of bringing in the best look possible, right? And
Hmm.
something like this could totally fuck it up. Meaning
Yeah,
8 months of hard work and something like this could totally fuck. You could be too
overnight.
flat.
Yeah.
Overusing this, you can just completely be foul. It's tough to fill up if you're overusing diuretics, and not to mention the
Hmm.
health risk that comes with it. So that's very 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 tough on your part, and you just got to be locked in, and
Mm.
making sure that you're locked in with your client, make sure they're giving good feedbacks to make sure that this is the the best way possible to bring the best look. So it's a fine game you're playing. That's why bodybuilding's nowhere the healthiest sport out there.
Yeah, and I try and even avoid it if it's a newer client who's like newer to bodybuilding. I try not to use prescription diuretics just because, for all I know, this is like they're doing one or two shows and they're never going to compete against. Like, why risk the health, whatever, of it? We'll just use some Expel or dandelion root, and that's good enough. Especially if they're competing just at a local show for the first time or something. I try not to push the prescription diuretic just because I don't think it's worth the risk until I know that they're like fully committed to the lifestyle and fully committed to taking this farther.
Yeah, no, I understand that. um
So water, carbs, obviously those are the two biggest things. I have one. So I've had clients before who have a lot of anxiety with and like the night before the show or 2 nights before the show, and their sleep goes to shit. And obviously sleep is like you're kind of counting on, because a lot of times you're doing morning weight, night weight. You're seeing how much they flush overnight, so you're kind of counting on them to be able to flush that weight, and that dictates a lot of your strategy. So like if you know that they are not gonna be able to get a good night's sleep and flush the normal amount the night before the show, how would you adapt?
so this is how I start the week off. I actually really educate my clients on what the importance of sleep and importance of cortisol does to your body. You literally, listen. I think I've mentioned this in the podcast before. I've really had guys that I was like, "There's no way I'm beating them," uh, but they were younger and they were overstressing, and they woke up the day of, and just I was just cool as a cucumber and just understanding. Hey, listen. End of the day, this is not the end of my life.
Mm,
Not dying, kind of deal, and just take it easy. To just understand the importance of sleep. I really, really just made it seem like I need this, Otherwise, I'm not going to win kind of deal. So I prioritize, and you got to plan, meaning stop fucking with things that are just literally going to keep you up. Put that, if it's the phone, if it's the TV. For me, I love watching something, and I immediately fall asleep if there's a movie on TV. So I'm like, okay, put a movie on, so I can go. So planning is very important. Unfortunately, we never know what's going to happen that night or what can happen that night. But all you can do is just to plan the best. There's nothing special that I'm going to do just because I think you can't sleep that night. For example, I'm not going to give you extra diuretic or extra this or extra that because you can't sleep that night. But what I am going to do start of the week or a couple of weeks prior is to emphasize the importance of sleep and how you're going to prepare to make sure that happens. Because obviously when you're that lean, you're waking up to piss a lot at night, you're doing all of this. It's tough. Consistent 6 to 8 hours is tough to pull off when you're on prep, but how can I get close to it? And what are the necessary steps I need to make sure that I get close to it is very important. And it's very important to sit down with my athlete and we figure that out together. Whatever it is for that athlete is, and we try to execute. Just like it's just as important. Eating, subs, working out, sleep is just as important. So we execute it like you're prepping meals. You prep for it. Plan, prep, and execute. So it's the best solution to it.
So how would you plan for getting a good night's sleep? If you know you're someone that has a lot of nerves, what is something you could do to plan?
So a perfect example, for example, okay, so you're getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep, but usually, hey, listen, man, in the past, I've noticed if I have something coming up, if I'm graduating the next day or whether if it was high school graduation, if I have a big day the next day, I'm excited or I'm usually nervous and I stay up and so let's say that's the scenario. Okay. So in the past, this has happened, or in the past shows, if you're not a first time competitor, this has happened to where it has affected you. First thing, the only thing you can do is psychologically make them understand what it has done to them before. It's like, how did you perform? Almost, I guess this is where the psychologist in me come out. I end up making them realize how did it affect your body? Did you come in? Was it the best luck you pulled off, or did you feel sleepy the next day? Were you really tired to get up? How did that feel? And understanding the importance, trying not to feel that is the only way I approach it. And me planning, okay, so what makes you go to sleep really well? I'm not a fan of you taking sleeping pills or anything like that the night before, unless that's what you've been doing your entire prep or your entire life, continue with that routine. Or I've had cases where I'm like, guys go up, it's like, hey, I'm gonna smoke some weed. Is that cool? My question is, we sometimes tend to put water in you and sometimes have stress response. If you haven't been doing it your entire prep, don't do it. Don't do it. Nothing new. Unfortunately, we cannot implement something new the day before the fucking show. That is crazy to even think it's going to work. It might work, but to just even try to risk
it's too big of a risk.
I'm not doing it. You got to come up with a plan to make sure you go to bed. Maybe try to get to bed at 7:30 at night or 8 o'clock at night. Eventually, you'll fall asleep at 10, whatever the case may be. You just have to plan to go. I don't have a special procedure for you.
Yeah. I try and have them figure out those sleeping aids like a few weeks before. So like, let's say if you take 5 milligrams of melatonin, that puts you out. Then okay, take 5. Let's try it out. See what your look is the next day. If it looks like everything's good, do that the night before the show. I personally take like a Benadryl the night before the show just so I can go to sleep and make sure because when I take a Benadryl, I usually sleep 8 to 10 hours and like there's no disturbances, no nothing. So usually the night before the show, that's what I'll do just because I do it during prep too. Especially those last few weeks when you're like sleep is really bad and dysregulated. So yeah, I think that's another way you can plan is just play around with things like that a couple weeks out. So yeah, you never want to add something in the last week. or the last day if you haven't used it before in prep. So I guess that's another thing you could do is like, yeah, try and figure out what helps you sleep really restfully, and then practice it a couple times, a couple weeks out, make sure it doesn't affect your look, and then that's something
That's a
you
good
could do the night
insight,
before
man.
too.
Benadryl, whatever. Benadryl is very light, and see if it helps. But you would be doing that a week or two prior. You just wouldn't be telling them to take
I would never
Benadryl
do
the
that.
night before you. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I would never take anything that I've never taken before the night before. But yeah, I would try it, 2, 3, 4 weeks out, um, and just make sure it works. And it doesn't make me hold any extra water. Uh, and then if all looks good, then yeah,
So
it's a good way to.
so this might be I don't know. This might be something that I shouldn't talk about, but I'm just being transparent. So I'm a type of guy that uses marijuana to my advantage, right? So I've always used marijuana to my advantage, and it always, never has been a disadvantage for me. So especially if I'm trying to lock in on some of the workouts, I use it as pre-workout. I always use it as my pre-workout. And this is something Ariel brought up with me as well, and I really wanted to kind of repeat it. He's asked me, it's like, okay, is this something that you use on a normal basis for your advantage? Does it have adverse reaction? Let's check it out to make sure that it doesn't have adverse reaction, which I do with my client. And no, it also always has positive reaction for me. Not like I compromise my look, not like it's ever compromised my workout or my sleep. So what I normally do, this is my routine, and it stays locked in on prep. I actually, about 4 weeks out, this is my routine. I do smoke before every one of my workout. It's not a workout that I don't smoke. I'm locked in. I literally don't talk to anybody, just have big headphones and a hoodie on, and I just execute. And then the night before or before I go to sleep, I smoke another one and I get a full night's sleep. Usually it helps your REM cycle and it's not very good for you, but I haven't had any issues waking up looking watery or bloated or tired or anything like that. So it works for me. So that's what I do the night before a show. I smoke. But obviously now I also use this is personally for me, and I use it for my clients sometimes as well. So take a couple of shots of vodka. I don't drink at all. I don't use alcohol whatsoever outside of that. I take a couple of shots of vodka, smoke a joint, and dude, I don't know. For me, you don't have to tell me to sleep. I am out from those because it's not part of my normal daily routine, and it just
Right.
puts me out.
Yeah,
So
I think that's like the main takeaway is like, yeah, find that aid that helps not 1 week out. Find that aid that helps multiple weeks out, even in the off season. Find what helps you get to sleep and get a good night's rest, and that way you can know how you react to it, and you can implement it that last week too.
And again, this is very important for all the coaches out there. I'm speaking for coaches and from a coaching standpoint. First time athletes, these are, yes, you can bring in an insane look because you're a good coach from diet, working out, all your protocols, sub protocol, whatever. You just locked in with your client. You can bring an insane look, but peak week, it's its own beast. It's another thing that you're trying to figure out with your athlete on how to manage peak week the best way possible. So if this is your first show with your athlete, it's something that you're also trying to figure out as a coach to get that chemistry with your athlete and then go from there. So it's very important. So that's why this week's just been so stressful, because I micromanage my athletes to get that data from them. So this way I can emulate or not emulate again as we go forward as coach and client relationship.
Yeah, and I think last thing before we move on. So are you throughout the week trying to find? So what I'm trying to find throughout the week, like when I'm doing multiple check-ins, is like how much water exactly and how much food exactly have you eaten before you have the best look, and then you try and emulate that in show day. Is that kind of your goal too?
Absolutely, because I'm taking data. So I'm not necessarily looking for the perfect look yet, just because I know the perfect look won't find, because I'm still pushing conditioning. I'm always pushing conditioning to the last minute. If I can get that out, I will. So it's not like I'm looking for the look the week of, because you should have already done the work. Peak week is just you're trying to peak your athlete the best way possible. That's exactly what peak week is, right? So the last 7 days, you're trying to peak your athlete for that first 5 minutes or 10 minutes that they're going to step on stage for prejudging. So you're doing everything you can to make sure they peak right. So the workouts are very light. Go ahead.
Do you think ideally you would not have to do any additional fat loss before peak week? Like, do you think ideally at the start of peak week, they're already lean enough where you don't have to worry about pushing conditioning anymore and you can just focus on like finding the look or finding the fullness?
Yes, I think that's what a locked in prep should be. A good prep should be to where you're like, fuck, you're still, listen, if you're still fucking fat and you're not conditioned enough, this is not the show for you. Fucking pick another one. There are athletes right now where they're not competing because they didn't lock in or whatever the case may be. If you're a good coach, you should be bringing your athlete in. You should be making the adjustment throughout the weeks, or a 16-week prep or whatever it is to make sure that you're in by Sunday before or Saturday before the show and you're just doing it. But sometimes you just get data that's just unexpected. This athlete steps in with 45-minute fasted cardio, 45-minute post-workout cardio, steps in on Tuesday, and it's the best day I've ever looked. And I'm like, good God, what the fuck? This data is insane. So sometimes you got to call that audible. And that happens sometimes, but not often.
Definitely. Okay. Well, yeah, I think that's a good overview of peak week, and we'll definitely go through how your athletes do next week after the show. And how your experience was picking them backstage and getting them ready the day of the show and things like that.
That'd be a good follow-up episode to just kind of go over what happened, what went wrong, or whatever the case may be, and go from there.
Yeah. Okay. So last thing we're going to do today is go through some questions that we got on Proseek's Q&A. So if you're on Proseek, this is a public Q&A forum where you can go in and type in any question for any of these categories, like men's posing, women's posing, training, nutrition, SUPs, longevity, mindset, mental stuff, whatever kind of questions you want, you can go in here and ask it and get responses from IFBB pros. So let's go through some of these questions and see what you think.
Most importantly, you're getting responses from people that has experienced it or has found a solution to it for them, and you can try that, and then hopefully it answers your question.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing thing if you're an upcoming competitor or like anyone really. It's just like getting more perspectives and getting other people's ideas and trying, like, it's always a good thing. And all these people have, they're all IFBB pros. They all have a lot of experience competing. So it's very valuable. So let's take a look at this first question, which is, what are some of the best ways that you manage systemic inflammation when it comes to your diet or training?
Go ahead, man. You want to answer that?
Okay. Yeah. So some things that I do to manage inflammation with diet is making sure that, one, it's high enough in like omega-3s. I think they're really important. So we can do that by obviously the supplements like the fish oil. But I think other things are implementing like fruits and vegetables too. So omega-3s and then anti-inflammatory things, antioxidants, things of that nature. So that a lot of that comes from fruits and vegetables. So I think keeping that in, I actually keep it in pretty much all through off season and most of prep until, like, let's say the calories get so low that maybe you have to cut back a little bit. But I always do try and keep in some portion of fruits and vegetables with my clients' meals, because I do think it helps manage that systemic inflammation much better. So that's like with the diet. In terms of training, I think that is one that you have to get a lot of feedback from your client in order to manage accurately. So I do ask them, on our weekly check-ins, how is your fatigue? How is your, joint pains, things of that nature. So it's like, if they're giving you good feedback and they're like, hey, this week I just feel like weaker or like more fatigued or something like that, then maybe that's the week that we might dial it back a little bit or lower output a little bit, whether that's through lowering out of training things like steps or cardio, or whether that might be just like reducing their working sets by one or something like that. So yeah, if you have good feedback from your client, then you can adjust the volume to try and manage that inflammation as good as possible and manage that fatigue. Um, yeah, those are some of the ways that I do it. What about you?
So okay, so this is one, obviously, turmeric. So over the counter supplements is one of the ways that you can definitely help out. So I'm not a big fan of veggies. I don't really like it. But so I'm obviously making sure my minerals, my vitamins, my omega-3s are locked in through actually supplements is something that I really, really do. And I also make sure my labs are good to go. So looking at some of my labs does help me out to make sure that everything's good to go. Everything's balanced, and then just going from there. So obviously feedback from my clients or feedback from what my body is going through is obviously the most important thing because you obviously, if you have inflammation going on, you're going to feel that slight discomfort and going from there. Turmeric's very important. Turmeric's a good thing that you guys can be taking to
Yeah.
make sure.
And
And then avoiding processed food and sugar is
yes.
so important. I don't do it. I don't do it. Just get it out.
And I forgot to say this, but because you mentioned turmeric, I want to add it in. Is I actually, when I cook my rice in my rice cooker, I put like a lot of turmeric in it. So my rice is actually like yellow.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think that's like a really easy way to get a higher turmeric. Because like you don't really taste it. So I mix a lot of turmeric into the water when I cook my rice, and I also mix a lot of cinnamon, both of which can help with anti-inflammatory things as
And then
well
making
as
sure
like
your gut health's good to go. Just make sure this is mandatory for all my athletes and me in my life. Apple cider vinegar, lemon juice, and glutamine the first thing in the morning before I do anything is just mandatory. Even before fasted cardio is mandatory for all my athletes. So making sure that that kind of keeps the gut health in check for me with some digestive enzymes if that's necessary. So that can also help manage inflammation because you also got to know what's the source of the inflammation. Is it from your diet? Is it from your gut health? Is there bacteria in your gut? Is that the reason why it's causing inflammation? Or it could be something simple like, hey, I used too much knee on my hack squat or whatever the case may be. So if that's the case from a physical standpoint, if you're working out wrong, if your range of active range of motion is shit, you want to make sure that you fix that. You want to make sure that you warm up good. You have good you have a good warm-up routine to make sure that your muscles get activated. And then it's also very important to just deload if that's the reason. If you're just
mhm.
pounding a ton of weight on your knee or your joints, just make sure that you have a good deload week to make sure that you give that a break so you can recover.
Yeah, no, I think those are good. So takeaways, whole foods, proper supplements, limit processed foods, sleep. Um, and yeah, I think Taylor's answer here is actually really great too. Fatty fish, omega-3s, berries, leafy greens, turmeric, olive oil. So that's a lot of the stuff we said too.
Yeah.
Limit sugar, alcohol, processed foods, stay hydrated, keep sodium, potassium balanced. And that's actually one thing I want to touch on. And that's something I started doing recently, is instead of using regular table salt, I use like the light salt, which is like already has a balance of like sodium, potassium in it. So it's basically like half sodium, half potassium. So like I think that has also helped with not just with inflammation, but also just like keeping my blood pressure down. Because you're excreting fluid, your fluid retention is like much less when you have a good balance of sodium and potassium.
So could you hold on 1 second? Give me 1 minute. It is 12:19 here. It is definitely time I'm 19 minutes late for meal too. And usually it doesn't happen. So let me just make sure I heat my food and we'll continue answering this question.
Yeah, let me
Just give me one
just,
second.
yeah, sure.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
She's home, so she's gonna heat up the prep for me.
Dude, I just looked at my phone while you were gone for a second. I'm going to see if you can hear this. This is a voicemail I just got. Did you hear that? Hang on, let me put on speakerphone. No, it's just die.
Are you
Literally
sure it
just,
doesn't say sigh? I think it says Sai. Sai. No, it's
Maybe
Sai.
buy.
Buy or
It's
Sai. It's not
okay.
die.
That's what
There's
the
no way.
transcript says die.
Yeah. That's because your phone's reading the AI voice. I get so much. I get like broken words, voicemails all the time, and I'm like, what the fuck? And it's not the case. It's just some of they just record that
The
phone.
transcription
The
was
text,
wrong.
yeah, the text voicemail.
Yeah. No, I just like opened my lock screen like this and saw like a voicemail die. Like, what?
Die. It's like, who the fuck did you piss off? That's funny. All right, let's continue. Sorry.
Okay. So I think this is a good one. We got a lot of insight from a lot of pros on this one. So how much do you personally practice posing before a show?
Dude, I don't stop. I do it almost every day. I just don't stop. I do it on off season. I do it while I have a pump. It is so important. I do the connection, especially when you're connecting with your muscle. You want to make sure you're posing so you can try to get that. So you're making sure you're activating that muscle. When you can pose with full activation, you're just trying to see, oh wow, like this is the best look. Especially like a chest pump, and you're hitting the shot, and you're like, oh wow, that looks really good. So making that because that leads to making sure your pump up is good, and the routine for your pump up is good as well for me. So I do not stop posing. I pose every day.
Okay. If you were to put a time amount per day, what would it be?
Off season, when I'm lifting, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes every day. But during prep, it's 20 minutes for sure after my lift.
Okay. And you usually do it right post workout?
Yeah, because I just got a pump, and I want to use that, especially I'm depleted, so I don't have it. It's either I do it a little bit before my warm up, and then I have a posing room in my gym, so I'm there
Yeah.
all the time. So it helps.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I do something similar. So yeah, usually 5-10 minutes post workout I'll pose. But then also when I'm about 8 weeks out, I will every night set like a stop clock for like 10 minutes. And then I'll go hit my front shot, hold it for 1 minute, spin to the back, hold it for 1 minute, front shot 1 minute. So I'll do 5 rounds of that each. So it's 10 minutes total. I think that also helped me a lot with like the comparisons, because like that's basically what you're doing on stage, right? It's like you're just sitting there in your front pose for a while. You have to be able to hold it, turn to the back, hold it. So I think that kind of prepared me for when I get on stage really well.
Yeah, dude, I completely agree, and I think that's one of pro about me on stage is I don't move. I can stay there forever. Like I think I could just stay there for a long period of time without moving and make sure that all my muscles are acting. I think it's strictly because I just do it all the time. It's just part of my day.
Yeah, and I think it's really important. And I think a lot of first time competitors will just like practice their routine. And they're trying to get the routine down. But at the end of the day, that routine it comes and goes in 10 seconds. The majority of your time on stage is going to be those comparisons. So you got to practice
And
just
this is
holding that pose too.
yeah, and this is probably one of something that I learned the hard way, but I emphasize it to all my athletes. Don't just pose. I mean, it's very important that you pose in front of the mirror. Don't in the mirror because it helps you give feedback to yourself, but don't just do it in front of the mirror because there is
Yes.
not going to be a mirror out
Yep.
on stage. And it was a harsh reality because I was like, oh, am I on? Do I fix this? I was fidgeting around my first show where I'm like, holy shit, like, because I had a posing room, so I was always in my posing room.
Yeah.
But making sure that you're doing it, like, just set the camera at waist level and
Exactly.
recording and just doing it. So you're locked in. So because you don't have that when you're on stage. So making sure that you're locked in is very important.
Yeah, that's what I did those last 8 weeks too. Is yeah, I set up my camera, try to do it without a mirror, and just hit 10 minutes of posing. Try to make sure every single time I turn back to front, front to back, it looks the same every time. But yeah, it's very, very important and very, I
So
think,
smart.
underrated with getting ready for a show.
So smart.
So yeah, there's a lot of feedback from a lot of pros here. So you should definitely check that out as well when you get on Proseek. I think this is an interesting one. So I'm coming back from a knee injury and I'm starting to do hack squats again. It only seems to bother me at heavier weights. Can my legs still grow if I have to keep a lighter load?
Interesting question. It's you got to talk to your knee, man. You got to have a connection with you and your knee and how it feels and how you're pushing. Obviously, for me, I do believe in pushing heavier weights for growth during off season. But if it's not possible and if it's going to do more damage and it's going to set you back, one, you got to get it checked out again to make sure that everything's good to go. Or if it's you're in that stage where heavier weights just not something that your knees used to, and you got to get up there. Yes, your legs can still grow by just keeping that tension into your muscle and getting the best out of it. So making sure you do that is important, but you really have to take the feedback from what your knee is trying to tell you.
Yeah, I agree. You have to, I think listening to your body, not forcing it is definitely important because you don't want to make that injury worse. But yeah, let's say you're doing a hack squat and at 3 plates, it feels totally fine. When you go to 4 plates, it starts hurting. I think you can grow just fine at 3 plates. Just, instead of doing 8 reps, you will do 12, 13 reps. And you'll grow just the same as long as you're still pushing to that same failure point, I think.
Yeah, and then sometimes I'll even do this. Okay, 4 plates hurt me at eight reps, good to go. But if it doesn't hurt you at 4 reps, hit those 4 reps and take the plate off and get
Yeah,
get
that's
the
true.
reps out at 3 plates. But if it's strictly the entire, like let's say it starts hurting from rep 1 on 4 plates, just like what you said, I would hit 12, 13 reps at 3 plates, but I'll still take the 3 plates off, do more on 2 plates, do more on 1 plate till I'm completely exhausted and I have failure.
Yeah, no, I think I love drop sets. I do them pretty frequently. Almost pretty much my last top set of probably like half my exercises. I'll do a drop set. Yeah, I think it's a really good way to really push to failure. But yeah, I think that's a good way of addressing this. Listen to your body, don't force it, and just you can grow with a lighter load as long as you're still pushing to failure.
1 second, let me go get my food. Check this out. Feast Mode's chicken and
Feast
ramen.
mode. I haven't tried the chicken and ramen, but I do have a couple of feast mode ones. They're good.
Shout out to Feast Mode.
Yeah, I use a lot of feast mode early in my prep. I think it was the cinnamon sugar one or something like that. Yeah.
For my cream of rice, banana cream pie.
Oh, I
So
do have that
good.
one too. Yeah. Um. Okay. Well, that goes to this one. So, what are some ways you manage hunger during your prep?
Okay. I got a lot, so you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So, I think the most obvious thing is to just find foods that are more satiating. So, in the off season, you're eating mostly rice because it's very like carb dense, easy to digest. But if I start going into prep, I think shifting that, let's say a couple meals with potatoes instead, they're a lot more satiating. So for the same amount of carbs, you're going to feel a lot fuller. Um, Keeping protein high, typically it's the same off season and prep, but making sure that protein will definitely be more satiating. Um, and I don't even think there's a bad thing to kind of even increase protein a bit during prep. Keeping in your veggies, I think those are another good way. Highly satiating, low calories. You have fiber, micronutrients. Sleeping well, drinking your water, those things too. Sleep, if your sleep is regulated. If you get a bad night's sleep, your hunger is way worse. So definitely getting good night's sleep is also important during prep too. So yeah, I think those are some basic ways. What do you have?
All right. So I think I have a really good answer and something that's going to really help people out. Expanding your food. What I mean by that is, let's say you're a meal 1 or a meal 2 or a meal 3, whatever it is, just a protein shake, right? Dude, you've been hungry for about 2, 3, from meal 1 to meal 2. Let's say meal 2 is protein shake. You've been hungry for about 3 hours. You're finally at your meal. You pick up your shake. It's gone in 2 minutes. And you might be full for about 5 minutes, and here you're hungry again. What I mean by expanding your food is make that protein shake, put it in your Tupperware, throw it in your freezer, freeze it. It takes lot longer for you to eat a frozen protein shake because it's obviously that consistency. Let's say you have a Ninja Creamy making that ice cream or
Oh,
something.
dude,
It
I
takes
forgot to mention that.
a lot longer for you to eat the frozen, and it's bigger. Obviously, liquid at a solid state's bigger, and it takes a lot longer to eat. And not only that, the crushing that ice, sometimes getting that brain freeze slows you down, and it takes you about 15-20 minutes to eat instead of chugging that down in every 2 minutes. And that is one of the tricks that I always use. Even if it has let's say cream of rice, I make the shake out of it and I freeze it. I freeze all my liquid meals, and it takes a lot longer to eat. And the
You
second
freeze
thing
your
that
cream of rice?
yeah, so I cook it. So I cook the cream of rice, right? And then I throw it in a blender with egg whites and protein powder, let's say 1 scoop, and I blend it and then I freeze it. And dude,
Do you
it
put in a
tastes.
creamy after?
If you do, it's even better, dude. Yes, but sometimes I don't do it because it's a lot of work. I just freeze it. And I just freeze it so much to where I put it in the microwave for 15 seconds. It's the perfect consistency. It's not hard enough to where it's like rock solid, but it's just enough to where it cuts through. But it's solid enough to where it takes time to eat. So that's one of the trick that I use. Trick two that I use is obviously adding veggies to my diet. So let's say, what are some ways to manage your hunger? Let's say you don't have the luxury to increase your calorie, or throw in more protein, or whatever the case may be, or you react bad to potatoes, or whatever the case is. Adding veggies to some of your meals can certainly help out because it's the fiber in it just makes me feel full. Whatever the case may be, is something that it's one of the things that I use to make sure that I manage my hunger. And the third thing that I use save my life is same concept, expanding my food. It falls under this same thing. Are you aware of Mio, the drop?
Yeah, the water flavoring.
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
any BCAs.
Uh-huh.
I'll mix them, right? I'll mix them in this, and I'll use popsicle sleeves, and I'll throw them in there, like my
Oh.
water or my BCAs, and I use pops. And so late night cravings. Let's say you have late night cravings sometimes, dude. Just eat popsicles, but it's BCAs. Don't add anything, or Mio, 0 calorie Mio. Tastes just as good as a popsicle, especially when you're in prep and you're eating very, very bland food. It tastes very good, and it's in a solid state, so it takes time. It's like an ice cream. Do that do that for 2, 3 popsicles. You can have unlimited amount of popsicles, you know what I'm saying? Especially if it's BCA water, it
Yeah.
really helps out at night.
That's a good tip. That's a good tip. I actually have not tried. I think that's a really good tip. The popsicle thing. I've never tried that before, so I definitely think that's something I will try next prep. And the Ninja Creamy thing that like revolutionized my preps. Because like the Ninja Creamy makes that frozen protein shake like it literally tastes like ice cream. And you get a huge quantity for the same amount as one protein shake. So that's a huge tip. Um, and that makes the prep so much less. It makes it so much more enjoyable too, because like you don't even feel like when you eat a Ninja Creamy, it's like I feel like I'm cheating on my diet, but it's like you're doing nothing wrong at all.
Yeah, it tastes good. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, expanding your food. Do it, man. It saved my life doing prep.
yeah. Um,
What are supplements I can take to
let's see.
help
Yeah, we
this?
can look at that one. So, what are
I can,
some
I
supplements
can,
used for LDL?
I can give you one. Instead of going on statins, really, it is a magic. It works so good, just as effective as statins, but it's natural. Is red yeast rice pills. Implement that to your daily supplement intake. Your cholesterol, it'll be on check.
Okay, yeah, red yeast rice, citrus bergamot, garlic,
Mm-hmm.
niacin. There's Retta is now showing to reduce LDL quite a bit. Ezetimibe is the pharmaceutical alternative for statins. So I've used ezetimibe before. I'm still taking it now. Um, and that's reduced my LDL a decent amount. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think those are all fish oils.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think those are the go-tos for me.
What are some of your favorite healthy fats resources? I guess that's a personal question. What are some of yours?
I like peanut butter. I like I actually like ghee. So I'll use ghee in my rice sometimes. Um, Other than that, I'm not a huge fan of avocado. I know a lot of bodybuilders use avocado, but I actually really don't like it. So I don't have any of that in my diet.
Dude, you mentioning ghee is just driving me nuts. All I can think about is some paper thin dosha with some ghee and some
Yeah, so
chutney.
the
Oh
ghee
my
roast.
god, dude. Oh my god. That's
Yeah,
gonna be good.
but yeah, I think I mean ghee is a great fat source. If and like in the I really like mixing it with my rice too. So it's like
And then it's more popular, obviously, in India than it is over here. Because over here, peanut butter, olive oil, uh,
avocado.
avocado is definitely one of my favorite. Peanut butter. I do peanut butter on my shakes and my chicken. Oh my god, chicken and
I
peanut
actually
butter
like
is
it on
just
chicken too.
yeah, because it's like a Thai sauce, you know.
Yeah,
So it's really good. Chicken and peanut butter is good. Chicken, peanut butter, and blueberries mixed together. Oh my god,
peanut butter and
insane,
blueberries, huh?
insane meal, man, insane meal. Especially on prep, it's a really tasty meal.
So you can't trust anything that tastes good on prep though.
I know that is true. That is true. That is
There's
true. Like
everything tastes good on prep, and then I'll find the off season and be like, oh, what the heck?
that is so true because there's times in prep where I'm like, I'll do anything just to eat more of this. It is so
Yeah,
good, but I just want more of this. But then you're on off season. I'm like, this is what I wanted more of. This is crap.
yeah, no, like because I'd get like 40 grams of blueberries with a meal. I'd be like, man, what I would do is just get like 20 more grams of blueberries. And then it's like, yeah, it's just your brain is so different when you're starving. Um, Dark chocolate, that's a good one too. Um,
Yep.
I've heard a lot of people start using dark chocolate. I actually do use like the 100% cacao powder. So I actually use that in my cream of rice. I use that in my Greek yogurt, and it makes it taste like such a nice, like deep chocolatey flavor. It has a lot of like antioxidants and stuff too. So that's another thing I use a lot.
Absolutely. Let's get to the next question.
This one's I don't know if I have a good answer for this one. Um,
I have an
I'm re-
answer for it, but unfortunately, this is not something, this is more of like a personal question a coach and a client would have. Because there's a lot of data that needs to be collected to kind of understand what's going on, and not just from physical standpoint, what's going on mentally. It has to be a
Mentally, yeah.
holistic approach.
So let
So
me
to
read
see
out the
what's
question
going
out
on.
loud in case people can't read it. So I'm really struggling with my body gaining back some fat after my show, even though I know it's impossible to look stage ready year round. How do you deal with your body image post show? So say, how
Um,
do you do it personally?
I
Because you, I mean,
under
you had a huge change this time, right? So like your body went through a huge change after this prep.
yeah, honestly, it is so. Yeah, you're not gonna look stage ready all the time, but I care less. Stage readies, I have understood and I have just come to terms with the fact that every season has its look. So for me, bulk needs to look like bulk. So if I look lean and stage ready on bulk, I am actually not happy. I don't want that look because my purpose is to grow. So understanding there are stages to the game and understanding you got to hit those, because end of the day, I want to look stage ready when I'm stepping on stage. I don't want to look stage ready any other time because I want to. So if I'm stepping on stage one day, I want to spend 364 days making sure that I look perfect on that one day. So I have come to terms with that. So when you come to terms with that, the looks and then I execute. It's not like I look in the mirror on my off season and go, I'm skinny and fat. No, I am bulking, I'm big, and I got a little bit of fat around me. So
Bother you to see the fat around you though?
no, because it's what I intended. It wasn't an
Right.
accident.
But do you like the look of it?
I don't care. I mean, of course, you're not gonna like the look of it. You always want to have an 8 pack, just jacked, 24/7. But it's just not healthy to do that. So I mean, it's not like I'm sloppy fat, but it's not stage show fat, but it's not what I intended. So I don't care. Just
Yeah.
like when I went through the surgery right now, I understood what I was going to look. I was not going to be happy. But don't get me wrong. If my wife was here, she'd probably disagree with me completely because, yes, I do look in the mirror and I go, I'm fat all the time just because that's just me keeping me in check, making sure that, hey, listen, this is not the end goal. This is not the end goal. This is just the steps you're taking to get to the end goal. So when I went through the surgery, I understood, hey, listen, this is the risk. For 3 months, you're not going to work out. You're going to lose a lot of muscle mass. You're just going to be a big framed guy with no muscle on your body, and you're going to have to be okay looking at it. But this is not my end goal. End goal is to the Olympia, and that is going to happen, and I believe it's going to happen. So when I constantly manifest that, I don't necessarily get depressed from it. Not necessarily do I like it, but my mindset is just locked in, and then it's good to go. So that's important.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the mentality we should all strive to have. It is hard to practice it sometimes because yes, you look at your body and you're losing your oblique lines or losing your legs look, the definition's gone. So it's like it's hard, but that mentality that you said that you have, that like you have to focus on the bigger picture, the bigger goal, and understand that losing those lines is a part of bringing a better look next time, and really embodying that and believing that is probably the best way to overcome those body image issues. Because I mean, I think we all do have that, but you have to frame it mentally in a way that's like, it is for a greater purpose and it is a necessary part of the process. I guess maybe one or two more. Yeah,
let's do two more.
Okay. This one is another, I think, opinion one that's been kind of hot lately with the younger crowd. So there are so many conflicting ideas out there regarding training to failure. What percentage of your sets do you take to failure in your workouts? So I think they're talking about, there's a lot of new age channels and studies showing that like you don't actually need to train to failure to grow. You can stop a few reps short of failure. Failure is actually bad for recovery, the blah, blah, blah. So I think a lot of people, like the younger people coming up, are like confused on whether they should be training to failure or not. So what is your take on that?
Oh, dude, this is going to be bad. My take on it. Dude, all your working sets should be going to failure. I don't care what the high rep count, low rep count, heavy weight, low weight, it should be going to failure. I honestly think is so crazy that, so you put in 100% of growth, and I feel like 100% of growth and 100% effort put in when you're going to failure. Okay. So what my understanding is, this is saying that you don't have to do 100%. You can do 90 or 95 and still achieve the same results, right? But who is to tell you what 90 and like, what's the difference of look from 90 to 95 to 100? If I did 90 and 95, I'm going to fucking sit there every night and go, what would have happened if I did 100? I think like that's just the way I train. I think 100% is failure. And that's my philosophy behind it, and you should be taking all working sets to failure. I don't necessarily believe in, maybe during peak week, yes.
Yeah.
Reps and reserves are good to go. We should have no reps in reserve, man.
I agree. When you train, you train to failure. I genuinely think that I think is not good advice for newer people in the gym because they don't have an accurate gauge of where failure is.
Yes,
so they may
exactly.
think, oh, I'm 90% to failure, but you're actually probably like 60, 70% of failure.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's
so
awesome.
Always push to failure because your perception of failure may not be your actual failure.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that is just a really bad mentality to start training on, is, oh, I can't train too hard. Oh, I can't push too hard. Push as hard as you can, because especially if you're a beginner, you're not really even close to scratching the surface of how like hard you can actually push.
And that comes with, yeah, obviously there are exceptions. Like if you're injured, if you're in
Yes.
peak week, or there are some exceptions going in there. If you're pregnant, whatever the case may be, there are some exceptions to that. But yeah, man, how are you going to gauge what 90% is, 95% is, if you don't know what 100% feels like, you know? So, but
Yeah,
that it's just not something that I want to be pushing for. I'd
I
rather
agree.
just ooze it out.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And yeah, that's why the RPE, like, I just don't think it's a smart way to train, especially if you're beginner or intermediate, because like you have no idea what your 10 is. So always push for 10
Yeah.
because you're what you
Well,
think
yeah.
10 is probably your 8.
Yeah, I do believe in the concept of what they're doing in the sense of full active range of motion. Active range of motion. Again,
Yes.
I reiterate, full active range of motion. So I do believe in all that concept, but yeah, I mean, you should be going, I feel like, balls to the walls. That's what I'm in
Yeah,
it
I
for.
agree. And you would always, yeah, train as hard as you can. It's very unlikely to overdo it. Like I'd much rather overdo it than underdo it. And
Yeah.
once you see that you're overdoing it, then you can dial it back. But I would never just like hold myself back. I don't know. I just think it's a bad mentality to have at this. Okay, so I think this is another good one that probably almost everyone experiences is we all travel. How do we keep ourselves on plan when we travel?
You travel a lot more than me, Sai.
Yeah,
What do you do?
this year especially.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I think preparing is just the number one thing, right? It's just when you one, I make sure like I never leave anything to chance. Like when I'm traveling on an airplane, like yes, I check my food in to like my checked luggage, but I also have all my meals for that day and emergency food in my backpack with my carry-on on me at all times. Because you don't
Yep.
know if your bag's gonna get lost, you don't know if your flight's gonna get delayed, you don't know if you're like so many things can happen that delay you and throw you off your schedule when you're traveling. So have your food with you. It's the first thing. It's like that day you travel, never just say like, oh, I'll just pack 2 meals that should be there by 5 p.m. and it'll be fine. But no, like you think you're gonna be there by 5 p.m. Your plane gets delayed by 2 hours. You go there, your rental car place is broken. Like it's like things just take forever and much longer than you expect. So have your meals with you for the entire day. Um,
Yeah, man.
and then as
Yeah.
soon as some other tricks I do is like I'll Instacart as soon as I land. Or even days before, I'll like schedule an Instacart order to my hotel
So smart.
and have them hold it there. So as soon as I get checked in the hotel, I have all my groceries. I just take it up, um, and you're good to go. So I think those are two really big things. Is you just got to prepare ahead of time. Call the hotel. Make sure you have a fridge and microwave. Do not book a hotel without a fridge and microwave because a lot of them don't have it. But I'll go out of my way to make sure I find one with both.
Yeah, I don't think there's nothing much more to it. Plan, plan, plan. That's it. I mean, I think that's what Jacqueline said too. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, planning's very important because, dude, like everything's like there's so much stuff that can come up when you're away from home. You don't have the luxury to go home and fix it, especially when you're traveling, right? I mean, what if you don't have a car? What if you don't? So it is very important to make sure you're locked in more when you're traveling than when you're home. Because if you're home, when audibles happen, you are able to make that happen. You have more options to make it happen because you're home. You have a car, you have a house, you have a kitchen, whatever the case. When you're traveling, you have to make sure you're restricted in all that access to all of this. So you have to over plan. I have something called a 6-pack fitness. It's like a 10 meal,
yeah. With lunch bag.
10 meal. Yeah. The 10 meal pack. So like universe, I packed for 2 days after, just in case I had extra food, but just in case I packed for 2 days after. And before that, when I didn't bring my food, what I did was I made sure, like, this is an example of me planning. Okay, I'm going to Vegas to compete. So, okay, so where is the nearest grocery store to my house? I'm gonna have a rental car because one, I need to go to the gym. I
Yes.
need to make sure I need to go to the. So if I'm getting a rental car, am I able to go? Then I go. Okay, are they going to have the stuff that I need? Some people are gluten free. Some people need specific type of food. Right, make sure they carry that. So doing that research and making sure it's available to you is important. Now, if you're specifically asking a question about you being in the air or you're on a cruise, or I mean, if you're on a cruise, it's gonna be tough to do a diet because. But if you're flying, you're stuck in the airport or something like that, just like Sai said, just overpack. Do not think that you're going to be there for the estimated time that they're giving you. Just pack for. I pack for a day extra. So, I mean, it's a safe bet.
Yeah, and also another thing you can do is like, so I make sure I order my refrigerated stuff, like if I have fresh stuff when I get there, like the Instacart. But anything that's not refrigerated, like packs of rice or peanut butter or things like that, I put in my checked bag. So
Yep,
that way you
smart.
know you have it for sure.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the concept's just here to make it easy as possible to make this happen. So if you already got it at your house, put that in your luggage. So make sure it's, as long as it's not perishables, you know. So
Right.
stuff like
Yeah,
that.
and I
One time go ahead.
yes, I have heard some people also like take their chicken and beef and stuff, or they'll just like freeze it and put it in their checked bag,
That's
and by the time they get
exactly
their
what I was gonna.
thaws, is that you about to say? I've never done it just
Yeah.
because like I just feel a little, I don't know how like is it okay to eat?
Well, yeah. So to the meal prep bag that I have a smaller meal prep bag. It's like it's insulated, so even when it's
Yeah,
frozen, it keeps it frozen for like 12 hours, 14 hours, or whatever the case may be. So when you freeze it and you throw it in there, it's going to be good to go. So even if it's in checked bag, it's not it's not like I have it in a vacuum seal bag, frozen, and my clothes are on top of it. It's in a
an insulated bag. Okay, yeah, that makes
insulated
sense.
bag. So yeah, and then yeah, it doesn't take up much space. So it is one possible option, but I mean that I am willing to take that extreme step because I want to be locked in because I just don't know what is in the food that I'm eating that is completely out of state, completely whatever the case may be, you know, it's just the unknown.
So
Another thing that I did one time was when I went to Pittsburgh, I researched a meal prep company. I actually called them and I talked to them, and they were like, "This is what I do," and then I got it delivered to me.
yeah,
So that
that's
was
another thing you can
something that
do.
I did.
'Cause I remember I had a work trip to Chicago, like a year ago, and then I just like yeah called a meal prep company in Chicago ahead of time, ordered bulk chicken, bulk beef, um, had it delivered when I got there. Then yeah, I went and got some rice, whatever, just
Yeah,
assembled my meals in the hotel.
those are easy. So that's crazy that we're on the topic. So this is one of the features that I do on my coaching for my wellness clients, right? So wellness clients, they're not on a strict plan to, I mean, not strict in a sense where, hey, no, you cannot do that. You got to be locked in for the next 12 weeks. Obviously, I give them a little bit more freedom than my competition client, right? So let's say they're traveling to Florida for a vacation or something. You know what I tell them to do? I tell them to give me the address of where they're staying. So I'll look up the restaurants. If they're going to Vegas, I tell them to send me the menu so I can tell them what they're ordering sometimes. If they're trying to get locked in and if they're that serious about it, I actually give them that option. And I'm willing to do that because they're just locked in. So that's
Yeah,
something
good for
that
you, man.
I
It's a lot
do
of
is
work
what
on
you're
your
saying.
end.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is, but you lock in, you get results out of that. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, and like if you are gonna eat out, like if it's off season and you want to have a couple meals out, you can plan ahead as well, and with that, and just like let's say you're gonna have like a high fat meal at the end at the night, like you have like a burger and fries, or you're gonna go get some steak or something. Then during the day, just don't add fats to your meals. Or if you're gonna have like a high carb meal, you know, during the day, just lower your carbs. Maybe even combine meals, like have if you have 6 meals a day, eat 3 of them, and then combine your last 3 meals with that meal you're gonna eat out. So yeah, if you do have to eat out or you do want some flexibility, just try and plan your meals accordingly where you're not just eating out every meal, but you can eat out, you know, have your 80% of your normal meals and then go out once at night and try and still make your calories match at least. Uh, Well, so that's the Q&A section of Proseek. So if you do get on Proseek, you can just click Q&A or add whatever questions you want to add, and pros will go in and answer it. We'll go in and answer it during our show. Tomorrow we will have Buhan on here to talk about his gym opening and his season so far, future plans, things like that. Next week we'll come back and check in on Sid, your clients.
I'm excited. And I'll be in India.
Next week? What day do you leave?
Sunday morning, I'm driving to Chicago. And then Monday, I'm flying.
Okay. Yeah. Well, next week's episode, you'll be in India then. So that'll be cool to see.
So I'm traveling to India. I definitely did not plan on packing my food. I am so excited, man. I am so excited. I'm in off season. I'm in the start of my bulk, so I'm just ready to enjoy things that I miss. I can't wait to wake up, eat dosha, omelet. Man, I'm missing so much stuff. Beef fry, parota, biryanis. Oh my goodness, man. I am so excited. We got a houseboat for a couple of days too, so we're gonna try to have a good vacation. We'll see.
Man, it's gonna be fun. Definitely take some pictures and we'll share with us when you get back.
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah, definitely. So all right, that's this week's episode. Thank you guys for listening.
Episode 5, subscribe, like, comment, and if you look at the links below, you'll see my profile, Sid's profile on Proseek. You'll see the link to go to the Q&A and sign up. It's free to register, free to use. There's a 60-day free trial on this Q&A feed, after which it's like $5 a month, and you get to see, this is such a great resource where you can hear so many perspectives from different pros. So go check it out, and we will be back tomorrow morning with Buhan.
All right, guys. Thank you.